Hey everybody, welcome to Interview Friday. It is a beautiful day here in Los Angeles. As always, I believe that we're in summer. Is it summer? I think it might be. It feels like it. Sneaks up on you every year, this summer thing. Behind me I have a sailboat given to me by Guinel. Guinel sent that to me. It's beautiful. I love it. I have a little bit of an announcement at the top of the show. Our incredible frequent guest, Seth Word, has appeared on television yet again in a very dramatic way. I think you'll agree if you take a look at this. NBC, America's Got Talent. And Seth Word definitely does have talent. He is dressed up not as a hummingbird, but as a peacock. And considering he's on the Peacock channel, NBC, it's a good move. I think it's a good publicity move. He's hilarious on this thing. I don't want to ruin it for you, but he does pretty well. He does pretty well, and I think we're going to be seeing more of him on America's Got Talent. So check that out. Big applause for Seth Word here. Yeah, and you can watch it on YouTube. They have the thing, just Google old Seth Word, go to his channel, and subscribe. But today is Interview Friday, and we have LaRita Shelby here. And so let's get on to the show. This is going to be a good one. You're going to enjoy this. All right, everybody. For those of you who may not have seen the show before, who might be tuning in, maybe you're a friend of LaRita's, maybe you just heard about the show. LaRita is here. The show today is going to be very interactive because LaRita will be also in the chat room, hopefully. She seems to be there now. So if you have any questions for her during the interview or any comments that you want to make, please do. And that's kind of the fun, interactive thing that we have with the show. But first, for those of you who are here for the first time, hi. We say hi instead of hi on the show. So whenever you say hi, just say hi. And also, we breathe at the top of the show. We do 3 deep breaths, and we're going to do that right now. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. LaRita is a very special person. She was brought to my attention by Tom Silvestri, and she is a multi-hyphenate like myself. So I have a lot of questions for her about how she manages all her different endeavors and how she keeps them all straight and in line and productive. And what an incredible background, Elizabeth. Yes, Elizabeth Croydon provided this background. I love it. It's Taos, New Mexico. We should all go there, I think. Road trip. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. I'm not going to do too much of an introduction for Rita because we really investigate all the things that she does in the interview, and I want it to be sort of a surprise. But she is also known as Jazzy Rita, and she's a singer, an entertainer, but she's also a host and an actor, and she's a writer. And a lot of you out there probably have this as well, especially in these times where we have multiple things that we do, and we're like juggling them. But we want them to kind of be cohesive and interact together, and we want to inform the world of who we are and how we can be useful, how we can be of service to others. So she's a really great person to talk to, And we're going to get into that soon after we take one more breath in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. I wanted to read this to you today. This is something they say in yoga. It's something they recite that was called to my attention. And I would like to recite it to you now. Something I think that I heard from a yoga teacher. I wanted to share it with you. I honor the place within you where the entire universe resides. I honor the place within you of love, of light, of truth, of peace. I honor the place within you where, when you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, there is only one of us. And with that, this is LaRita Shelby on Interview Friday. The crowd is going wild.
Woo, woo, hey.
Yeah.
Wow. Woo, woo, woo. Thank you so much, Joel. And before I forget,
Yeah.
thumbs up to Tom Silvestri
That's
for
right.
introducing us. I am
right.
very humbled and grateful to be here.
That's one of the great things about our show is it's very interactive with the audience. And a lot of times the audience will suggest who we should have on the show. And Tom Silvestri, extraordinaire, Tom Silvestri, master of many, many things and extremely knowledgeable in music and movies and football and all kinds of things you can think of. Well, he led me to you. So I'm really grateful to Tom Silvestri.
Yeah, Tom is the friend. Yeah, that's the guy you want when you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and you're right down to the last question. You call Tom,
totally
right?
Yeah,
Phone
he's
a
the
friend.
lifeline. Phone a friend. Yeah, definitely.
Wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Even on any topic, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'd probably find out that he knew about anything.
Yeah,
Animals.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with Tom is that even if in the off chance that he's incorrect,
yeah,
he's so convincing, you'll go along with it anyway.
Totally.
Right.
Totally. All right. So I want to get to know you a little bit better. I understand. Were you born? Where were you born? And were you born? Or did you just appear on the planet?
You want the Hollywood story or the whole truth?
I like the truth.
No,
we're into the truth here.
I was born by the river. I was actually born in Nashville, Tennessee. My family is from Memphis, Tennessee, by way of Athens, Georgia. And at some point, my mother moved to Nashville, Tennessee as a young woman, and that's where I was born.
Wow. And have you been singing all your life? I haven't even really expressed the fact that you are just a multi-talented person. You sing, you act, you write. What else do you do? Do you dance as well? I mean, my God, it's just amazing the amount of skill you have and the amount of experience you have. But where did you start singing? Where did you start singing?
Yeah,
was that when you were a kid?
So gosh, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Gosh, you touched on so many things in that first comment.
Yeah.
And I can be silly and my stories can be long, so you gotta reel me in, okay?
Well, we have a little bit of time.
Okay. My mother actually was a musician. And I know for sure I heard music in the womb. My mother played the piano for church, and my granddaddy was a very stern Baptist minister. And I actually believe that my mother had all these desires that were born into me. I really think that she had them too. But the era in which she was born and being in a strict religious home, really kind of relegated her to just a certain path. So thank you, Mama. I remember being about, 3 or 5 years old. My mother was playing the piano, old gospel style piano. I don't have all my teeth, but I'm standing beside her and I'm just belting out. And she's like, wait a minute, baby, you can sing. I'm like, yeah, Mama, you can play. So that's where the singing started. And the dancing part, I'm going to tell my age here, but I'm not going to tell the whole truth, but close.
Of course not. So we're in Hollywood. We're in Hollywood.
Exactly.
How it is.
Hollywood. So Joel, I'm actually old enough to remember when it was special, when it was a big deal when you saw a person of color, a black person on television. And it was like everybody came looking because that person had broken a barrier.
Yeah.
So I remember the dancer, the black dancer on, drum roll please, the Lawrence Welk show. Thank you very. So now, agent, I hope you're not listening because I told my agent I was 35. But anyway,
Yeah.
that guy inspired me, and I would go and get my Sunday shoes and start kicking about in front of the television, and you couldn't tell me anything. So
Really.
fast forward, and many moons later, I have a auntie, my late Aunt Mary, who kind of took the reins of my life and career, and she made sure that every desire that I had would be nourished, and she would do everything that she could along with my mother and the rest of my
Hmm.
family to see that I flourished. So
Yeah.
that's it. Thank you very much.
Yes. I think that sometimes performers are inspired by their parents who might have wanted to be performers and maybe never it never manifested in their life. But then the next generation like sees that love for singing or music or piano and takes it and runs with it. I mean, it seems to be true a lot of times. So many times I've heard performers tell the stories of, oh, you think I'm funny? My dad was hilarious.
Oh
So
my
that's kind of
goodness,
cool.
yes. Yes. Yes, I had an Aunt Sue. My Aunt Sue, there was nobody funnier on planet Earth than my Aunt Susie Belinda Hawkins.
Yeah.
This woman can make you laugh at a funeral on Christmas Day.
Wow.
you know.
So, is there anybody that took you under their wing who was like a professional performer? Is there anybody that helped you along to nurture that to become, to move on to that kind of professional level that you've found?
Yes, Joel, and my goodness, I was expect this is lunch therapy because I wanted to have fun. I want
Yeah.
to inspire your
Yeah.
audience, but it's quite sentimental for me to
Mm.
talk about these origins.
Yeah.
For example, Henry Louis Gates has a show on called Finding Your Roots, and
Hmm.
in that, people of all ethnicities are connecting to these great people who came before them.
Hmm.
So in my case, I guess the most known person was when I was a young girl in Memphis, Tennessee. I was Nashville, went to Washington, D.C., and then went back to Memphis. And there was somebody who mentored me who was a relative of Rufus Thomas,
Mm.
the old soul legend who sang Walking the Dog,
Wow.
just do walking the dog. Him and the late Ruby Wilson, the queen of Beale Street,
Hmm.
would allow me to come up on stage with them when I was like 14, 15 years old. Now, Ruby Wilson should have been a much bigger star
She
than
has
she
a
was.
voice, boy. She
Yeah,
is
she
something
was.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was mentored by BB King. So
Mm.
Mama Ruby, as I call her, Mama Ruby, would be at Blues Alley, Memphis, Tennessee, and she's just bringing down the house. And she said, "Hey, everybody, right now, I see my child out there in the audience, and I'm gonna bring her up. Come on, baby, come on up, baby, come on up." Here I am, 15 years old, don't know
Really?
nothing about the blues. Okay, I'm a benefactor of everything that people have marched and paraded for. I got all the benefits. So I'm
Hmm.
up on stage singing every syllable of the St. Louis blues.
Wow.
I hate to see the evening sun go down. I hate to see the evening sun go down. 'Cause my baby, he done left this town. Now, here's the thing.
That was
I don't
great.
think I was making anybody choke on their pork rinds. But,
Yeah. I just got to
but,
applaud the live performance. Sorry. That was the first time I think we had a real honest to God live performance here on Lunch Therapy of a jazz tune.
oh my
All right,
goodness.
tell me the rest of the story. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, that I'm just saying that again. I don't think that I made anybody choke on their whiskey and pork rinds, but I was in the environment of greatness and didn't really realize it. I saw Mama Ruby work that crowd and talk to them. I
Yeah.
was on the stage beside Rufus Thomas. I was seeing Honeymoon Gardner playing, and I was just in the atmosphere. So many years later,
Hmm.
after life. I'd lived some life and had
Yeah.
some ups and downs, I really, really reconnected with my jazz roots, and now I'm connecting with my blues roots. Gospel was already there, so
Wow. So, you. This is the thing that I'm really interested in with you is a lot of times we as artists, as performers, we have a lot of different interests, especially actors, because like we have to delve into different arts and different professions and learn about things. How did you just focus on music in the beginning, or did you start to say, oh, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that? How did you start to branch out like you are? You're multifaceted.
that's a great question, and I don't think I've ever been asked that
Mm,
question before. Well, just from number one, you just bloom where you're planted. And for me, I was born knowing what I wanted to do. In my very first play in kindergarten, the teacher cast me as a tree, and another little girl was a butterfly.
yeah,
Now, the butterfly had this pink costume and was fluttering around the stage and glitter. I'm a tree. I'm
yeah.
5, and I'm like, this is not working for me. I've got brown construction paper. I've got some green construction paper leaves,
Yeah,
and I'm right here for the whole show.
yeah.
I am not
You
connecting
mean you're
with this
just not
moment.
moving at all? You're just standing there as a
I'm
tree?
a tree,
You're like
a
a
tree.
like
Like,
part of
keep
the
up,
set.
okay? I'm a
You're
tree,
part of the
right?
set.
So I actually, years later, I wrote a monologue about that called Butterflies and Trees.
Nice.
So from singing in church to being in school plays. And might I add, I pay homage to my ancestors. And I mean, as you can see, I'm African American, and our like compensation package hasn't always been up to
No,
par in these
no,
United States.
definitely not.
However, I was blessed to be around people who saw possibilities,
Hmm.
and they sowed love and optimism all around me, all around me.
Wow.
So being in plays, so that was the acting and the singing, and then my Aunt Mary sent me to dancing school, and they just told us, whatever, reach for the moon. If you miss, you'll land among the stars. So
Hmm.
anything I thought of, I wanted to do and be, I just went for it.
I think
But
that's
I
really
pay
important.
homage to them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very important to have people around you that nurture what you're doing and don't be like, you can't do that. You know what I mean? You really need that
Yes.
because it implants your. And then when you go off on your own, you still have those voices in your head that are saying, yeah, you can do that. You can, shoot for the moon. You might land in the
Yeah,
stars. It's very
and
good.
might I add, another story that is yet to be told in my life, I touch upon it in my book, is that, all of my influencers weren't African Americans.
Mm,
I
yeah.
remember my journalism teacher, Patricia Romanowski,
Hmm.
in junior high school. The first teacher who really told me that I could write was, I don't know her. I don't know. I don't know if she was Italian. I don't know if she was Jewish. I don't know. But I remember her name was Betty Hummel. And the last
Hmm.
day of school in the 5th grade, she had been reading my writings, and she gave me a spiral book, and she says, you can write. I want you to keep writing. My drama teacher was Mrs. Barbara Turner.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm blessed to have seen and known love from all types of people. And it blessed me to be who I am now and encourages me to encourage others.
Yeah. It's such a strong foundation that you come from. So, what did you do? Did you move to Hollywood, or when did you start your acting career for real? Yeah, I know you went to college, and then you went to grad school, and you got like a degree in psychology, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, media and communication
Media
psychology with a
psychology.
concentration on media leadership.
So
Yes,
tell me,
yes.
okay, so
And I
did you
was a John Dale scholar thanks to the Screen Actors Guild. Thank you so much.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
So, okay, so did you go to college then? Right out of high school, or what did you do?
Yeah, so you ever seen a beauty pageant, Joel
I have
Marshall?
seen a few on television, I must say.
Yeah, so somewhere in the 80s, I was Miss Black Everybody.
Really?
And yeah, I was Miss Black Everybody. And let me say it this
It's
way.
great.
As we know,
Yeah.
I definitely I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud for those who have paid the cost for me to live the life that I live.
Yeah.
However, there was a time in these United States where our pageantries and all of our competitions weren't welcoming to everybody.
Yeah.
So there were those who created culturally specific pageants. For
Oh.
all, usually there were scholarship pageants. So somewhere in the 80s, I was Miss Black, Memphis and Tennessee, and Miss Black. But
Wow.
if there was a runway
Yeah.
and a Grover Washington's
You were on
Mr.
it.
Magic playing, and I believe that. Like people make fun of the pageant girls. I actually believe, and peace on earth, and we will solve the problems of the environment.
Yeah.
All children will be fed and educated, and life will be great. Like I drink that Kool-Aid daily. Like
Yeah.
I really believe
Yeah.
that. So after high school, I was the pageant girl
Hmm.
and I won scholarship money. But I always had my eye on California. It was either
Yeah.
California or New York, and it was something about California. I'm like, there's magic that happens here.
Definite
So my
magic.
plan was, if I come to California while I am in college, because I finished in 3.5 years. I'm like, I've got 3 years of room and board, and I have some time to meet some friends and learn something about the industry and then segue into the career. And that's what happened.
Oh, wow. So
That's
that's
what
cool. So
happened.
you came out here, you went to La Jolla, Marymount? Is that where you went?
Look, I went to Loyola Marymount. I
Loyola? Yeah.
graduated with a degree in theater and communication arts.
Yeah.
And guess who was my commencement speaker?
Frank Sinatra.
How did you know?
I'm
You're
just
right.
good. I'm just good. I know.
I'm
Well, first shot.
so
Boom.
okay.
Frank
I'm
Sinatra.
sitting on the front row.
Yeah.
Graduation. My last name is Shelby. My last name isn't like Abercrombie or like, Zabinowitz. I'm Shelby. How did I end up on the front row next to my best friend, Venus Griffith? And there is Frank
Wow.
frickin' Sinatra on the
Wow.
stage. And this was, pre cell phone camera days. So I don't really have a good shot of it. But he was like, kids, I'm going to tell you something. You just go out there and you just do it. You want to go for something, you just
That's
go, you
great
just do it.
advice.
So
That's the
there,
best advice I
yeah,
heard all day. Thanks, Frank
yeah,
Sinatra. It's true. You got to just go out there and do it. You got to do it. So
yeah.
what now? Okay, so now this is weird because you were also like the voice of a show on the Armed Forces Radio, and I don't even see how that falls into place here. What happened that you got into the military radio network?
Okay, follow along because
Okay.
there's a few tiers to the story.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm here.
Oh my goodness. So my Aunt Mary discovered early on, she's like, Beanie, you've got the gift of gab. I'm like, okay. So she would call into radio stations when I was a teen a preteen in Washington, D.C., and talk the DJs into letting me introduce the records on the air.
She
Of
was like
course,
your
on the phone.
manager or something? Just like, hey, I got to get her on there.
Yeah, yeah, she was like a momager, but she was the
A
auntie.
momager.
So in
Antiger.
high school in high school in
Yeah.
Memphis, Tennessee, they had teen reporters. So
Yeah.
all the high schools got to pick one teen who could do a 1 or 2 minute report at the local radio station. And that station was WDIA,
Right.
1070 AM. So I did that, but I made my report a little more polished and serious than the other kids. So that caught the attention of the news director, and he says, we want to he said, we want to do something. We want to give you a show. And I was like, well, you have all these shows with adults speaking for teenagers. You need a show where teenagers are speaking for themselves. And he says, okay, you got it. So I did that. So
Oh,
back when
wow.
I was Miss Black Everybody,
Yeah.
they would invite the local town queen to be at these remotes at supermarkets, and we were like slinging Jimmy Dean. I can't say it. Schlepping Jimmy Dean's sausage. Say that 3 times. Jimmy Dean's sausage. So I got my little crown on, and there's pictures on the internet, and I'm like, "Hello, everyone. Yes, you're listening to WDIA radio, but come on down here, child, because this sausage is good, and you get 2 for 1 if you get here before 3." I'm just being my crazy self. Well, the program directors were listening, and they
Yeah.
called my auntie, and they said, "We think that your niece has what it takes to be on the radio." So they trained me to be a jock. So I was a teen jock on a commercial station before moving to Los
Wow.
Angeles to go to college.
Wow. So you had all
After
these
college,
parallel careers going on.
yeah, but wait for it. So after college, I applied to work at WDIA, no, at KGFJ Radio in Los Angeles. I stayed there for a few years, got laid off because I was gonna leave for a movie. The movie fell through, and they're like, "Yo, no, bye, Felicia, you're out of here." Found out about Armed Forces Radio,
Yeah.
sent in my cassette, and I was contracted for 7 years.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So you had your own program on Armed Forces Radio for 7 years.
Yes. But
Wow.
like I said, this, thank you for having me, but I just don't want to talk about me, 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 me. I want to use this to inspire
Well,
somebody else.
this is in hearing about you inspires others because they go, "Oh, I could do that too." That's
Yeah,
what I
but now
believe. That's my belief,
let
at
me
least.
put the
Yeah.
button on it,
Yeah.
Joel, about dreams.
Yeah.
So remember I told you being a little girl watching television,
Yeah.
right? I think my all-time favorite movie of all time is White Christmas. I mean,
Bing
I was
Crosby.
just enamored by, Wallace and
Yeah.
Davis, and it's the military and the
Yeah.
show, and I grew up to entertain the troops.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. There's
That's
a
exactly what happened in my life.
Oh, that's cool. That is super cool. Did you start acting then during that 7 years that you were doing radio? Were you acting as well?
Well, no, well, actually, technically, I never stopped acting
Yeah.
because, from school plays to local commercials. And then once I was in Los Angeles, then I had an opportunity to audition. My life is a movie. All
It
it's
is.
may be a
I
movie
think there
for real,
needs to
but
be a
it's
movie.
truly a movie. So, do you remember the TV show Fame?
Yes, one of my favorites.
Yes.
It was an
Yeah.
inspiring show
So,
for me. I was in Edmonds, Washington. I didn't know what the heck they were talking about, but it was like, I want to go to that school.
yay,
I'm gonna live forever.
forever,
I'm gonna
right,
learn how to fly
right.
high. Yeah, totally. Love that. I had no idea
Just it's
where that was. I was like,
beautiful.
it's in like New York City or someplace. I don't know, but it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So in real life, I went to a school for the performing arts in Tennessee when I was out in Los Angeles. So now I have access to these auditions. So the first open call I did was for the first touring company of Dreamgirls.
Hmm.
I got it down to the last 4
Yeah.
people, and I didn't make it.
Oh,
Totally
no.
crushed, cried for 2 weeks.
Broken dream girl.
Then shortly after, yeah, well, it's just cocktail party
Just part
fodder
of it.
right now,
Just part of
whatever.
it. Just
It's like,
part of it.
forget about it.
Part of the
That's the
story.
break. But my next open call was for Fame,
Wow.
and that went on for about a month between calling, cutting, calling, cutting, calling, cutting, and I made it down to the last 3 females, and they ended up using Janet Jackson. But out of that, I got an agent, which
Oh,
allowed
cool.
me to start auditioning for other network television shows and movies.
I've got some clips I want to show. Let me just show this. This one's quite funny. It's called Campus Cops. Maybe you can tell me about it in a second, but I picked it out because I thought it was fun.
I got a half-hour reprieve. He's on the John. I had to check the bowl for frogmen before he'd sit down.
How much of his lunch are we supposed to eat?
While we're out here risking our lives opening letter bombs, eating poison, and looking down toilets, where's Royce?
To think I was coming here to apologize to you. Royce, you've done some low things, but taking my cake really takes the cake.
As a woman, I have to tell you, I find this ignorant, sexist, and demeaning.
Meg, loosen up. It's just a little bit of flesh.
Where'd you guys get a car to give away anyway?
Oh boy, show's about to start.
That was awesome. Yay! So yeah, so you were doing, you were doing comedy and drama. You know, sometimes people ask you what kind of actor you are, and people are like, oh, I'm whatever actor the job requires. But you also did, you know, some drama. This is another good one here. You're playing a cop again. It's kind of your thing, maybe. Let's see.
You're a good officer.
Does everyone think I don't know what's going on here? Does everyone think I don't know what's going on? Word's out I got HIV. Rumors been flying all over this place for 2.5 months. I knew this would happen. But I'm still going strong. They can't take me off the streets. I won't let them do it.
You don't have a choice.
I quit. Tell that to the captain.
Tell that to the captain. Yeah, so that's just two samples that I had here that I wanted to show people because I wanted to show like the two different, well, they're both cops, but the two different sides of you, you know, the kind of serious drama and then this comedy. What was that show, Campus Cops?
Okay, another dream come true.
Yeah.
That show was actually a John Landis and Leslie Bellsberg show.
Yeah.
And again, talking about dreams, John Landis directed the Michael Jackson Thriller video.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that was at the time when every
Huge.
girl on planet Earth wanted to play opposite, you know, Michael Jackson and work with John Landis.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I wasn't in the Thriller video, but lo and behold, a few years later, doom, 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 doom,
doing
doom.
mine.
That's it. You got it, Joel. You go. A few years later, thanks to my abiding and tireless agent, Raphael Burko, I got the audition, and that actually is the only series regular that I've had, you know, in the career yet. I've had some recurring roles and some featured roles. So, yep, got to work with John Landis. It was short-lived
cool.
on the USA Network, and that was actually before Reno 911, the same type of
Really?
show.
Yeah, same kind of show. I love that show, Reno. I love, you know, funny cops are always good. It's always a good thing.
Yeah. Want to do more. It's definitely a process.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to have agents who will go over people's heads to say, look, you know, you got to see my person. So I thank you, Media Artists Group, for still believing in me.
That's super cool. All right, I want to play some of your singing because I want people to understand how amazing you are. I'm going to play the song Singing. It's called Standing Strong. I'm going to play a little bit here. Jumping right in.
Can't hold me down 'cause you don't understand the rhythm of my walk. You can't silence me 'cause you don't understand the riddle of my talk. My determination will keep me trudging till there's justice for us all. Till we are standing proud and standing strong.
Wow, that was something else. That's something more recent? Can you tell us about that song and how that originated and what that is?
Yes. And so for those of you listening, you can find the music under Jazzy Rita Shelby or Rita Shelby. Joel, I hear music. You know, well, you know, you're a creative person. We creative types, we hear and see what others don't. Then we create it and share it with others. You know, every writer, that song happens somewhere in you, even before you get to the studio and share it with your partners. So I believe that was written actually during the first Obama administration. I was taking a walk around the LA River and I thought about all that has transpired in my life just for me to be able to walk down the street,
Yeah.
just for me
Really.
to be able
To
to
walk.
walk into any restaurant and get a drink
Yeah.
of water, just for my son to go to any school that he chooses and to be welcomed in. And as I was walking, I just started hearing the words, and I have my music composer is Mr. Willie Daniels. Now, when you hear about any group of people who have evolved through time and circumstance, it is not uncommon for you to hear them say, "We're standing on strong backs and shoulders." Well, I was blessed to write the song. I'm standing on the backs and shoulders of those who've come before me. I am shining from the glow of falling stars. I am thriving from the remnant pieces of raw determination. I am standing proud, standing strong.
Wow, that's great. So, what is your process when you capture something? Because I feel like sometimes you have to capture something when it strikes you, because otherwise it's gone. And what is your process when you capture something like that? And then how do you bring it to music? Do you write music as well, or do you collaborate? What usually happens?
Yes, so good. No, great question. And I'm sorry, Mama, who's resting in her grave right now. I tried many instruments, wasn't that great. Learned a little music theory here or there, wasn't
Yeah.
that great. But when
You can't do everything,
my,
LaRita.
my well, I can't put on my contact lenses, which is why I have these glasses on today. You're right, Joel.
I can't even
You are
put any
absolutely
contacts
right.
in my eyes. Like even those colored contacts that people have, I'm just like, my eyes just can't handle it.
No, you're right. You're right, dude. I cannot do everything. You
You
are
can't
sure
do
right.
everything.
No, but I hear I hear complete songs. 99.9% of the time. It's my first book is titled Dictation, and it's really like taking dictation. And my primary composer is a gentleman by the name of Willie Daniels. He trusts the authenticity and the purity of the gift because it's a gift that's passed through me. Thank you for the accolades. I appreciate it, but all that I am, if it's good, it's God coming through me. Um, so that's how it happens, from all the songs. And then I get with Willie, and Willie plays like he's the cat sitting at the gig in my head.
He just gets you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That's great to have people like that you can collaborate with. I'm
Yes.
gonna play another thing that since we're on the Obama thing, because it was the time of Obama. There's this one called "Mr. President's Girl," and it's a more
Oh.
comedic one.
Jazzy Rita, what we have here is a positive message, but it's not just about you. Oh no, this is your song, my song, her song, our song.
All right.
That's more like it.
Mr. President's got him a girl who looks like me, the most beautiful lady in the world. Looks like me. Na 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 na. Looks like me. Na 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 na. Looks like me.
I edited that a little bit, but nice. How did that song come about? That's awesome. How did that come about?
Okay. You really want to know?
Yeah, I do.
Do you really want to know?
I really want to know the inside
Okay.
scoop on that song.
Okay. What had happened was true story.
Yeah.
I live in Studio City, California, where there's a coffee shop on every corner because it's what we do.
Yeah.
So when Mr. Obama was running, of course, and the popularity was increasing, of course, we're seeing more of him and Michelle and the family. So I had parked around the corner from the Starbucks, and I was walking towards the door, and this Caucasian lady spotted me, and she was like, She stopped and she was like, "Oh, oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you were Michelle Obama."
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like a deer in the headlights, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." Okay. So then it happened again at a
Really?
McDonald's in North Hollywood, coming out of the store, and this lady was driving around. She stopped and she's like, "Oh, oh, 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 I'm sorry. I thought you were Michelle Obama, like at first glance." And so then, of course, he won, and I was looking in the mirror one day, and I was like, "Mr. President's got a girl that looks like me." Now, how about that?
That's
Now let's
great.
go full circle.
Yeah.
Remember the story I told you about growing up when it was a big deal when we saw
Yeah.
an African American on television, just on
Hmm.
television.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember I told you I was Miss Black everybody
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
year? Well, there were years in our pageants, in our pageants that are symbolic of beauty and wholesomeness. You generally only saw one type of beautiful woman
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
those doors weren't open, those minds weren't open.
Yeah.
So flash forward to say, well, hot diggity dog,
Yeah. It's pretty
Mr.
cool.
President's got a girl that looks like me. So I wrote the song,
Yeah.
but for those who have heard or will hear the song, I definitely wanted to be kind of like a little in your face that, my goodness, I think we've arrived.
Yeah.
But Michelle Obama was representative of, I believe, the modern woman.
Hmm.
So her acceptance extended race and ethnicity and culture, though she is very solid in that, but her essence as being an unapologetic, again, modern day woman. So that's why it's her song, my song, any woman's song and our song. So
I
thank
love
you.
that. I
Thank you.
love that
Thank
you
you.
did
Thank
that.
you.
I want to ask you, brings about a question that I have that I really want to make sure I ask you. Because you're multifaceted and you do many different things and you do them at a professional level, how do you define yourself for other people? So for me, I also can fix people's computers. I'm very good with computers, and that's how I make a
That's good to
living.
know.
Yeah, exactly. So then, but for a while there, I got to be known so much as the guy who can fix your computer that I wasn't known as an actor, wasn't known as a comedian. So I had to kind of, divide that somehow. So, because as soon as people saw me, they didn't think I can put that guy in my show. They thought he can fix my computer. How do you define yourself for people? Is it any kind of a struggle, or is it something you're conscious of? I know you have this book called The Brand
Yep.
Beside the Brand, and I think it relates to
Yep.
this question. Can you tell me something
It
about that?
Yeah, Joel, it absolutely does. And I just want to say right now, I just want to just pour my heart and my love out to you and others who are multifaceted. Sometimes we disrupt the norms because we aren't just one thing, and we feel like we have to explain or apologize,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
The good book says there's a parable of talents. Some were given one, some were given 10. So it took me a long time to figure that out. So a couple of things happened. Yes, I did go back to school and I got my master's in media and communication psychology. That encouraged me to write The Brand Beside the Brand, which is my business story.
Mm.
I didn't have no elevator pitch, as you can see during this interview. You got to have some time if you want to talk to me. Like,
Yeah.
no, honey, we got to take the stairs. If you
Yeah.
if you got to get off by the fifth floor, then yeah, I'm not your girl. But you would hear elevator pitch, elevator pitch.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I don't have one.
Hard. It's
So
hard. Yeah.
what did transpire for me over time? I says, okay, if I had to explain myself in 30 seconds or a minute, what would I do? Could I do it? It's still not perfect, but
Yeah.
here's what I came up with.
Hmm.
Hi, I'm LaRita Shelby. My expertise is in business, entertainment, education, and the arts. On my business side, I am a marketing and media relations consultant. I
Hmm.
also specialize in digital advertising.
Yeah.
On the entertainment side, I am an actress and a singer and a writer and a
Yeah.
publisher. On the educational side, I'm proud to say that for 9 years, I've conducted a drama therapy group at a level 14 lockdown facility, psychiatric facility for teens.
Wow.
It took me time to practice that.
Yeah.
But for you, business, entertainment, education, and the arts, when you throw that out, then you're giving people categories.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then and you could say, well, which one would you like to know about? Or
Hmm.
then go further explain. So for you, it could be something like, yeah, I'm Joel Marshall. My expertise is in technology and acting and comedy. You
Yeah.
know, I'm a dramatic and comedic actor who can fix your computer.
Okay. I like it. It's starting to, yeah. I'm starting to
Yeah.
understand how it works. That I
Yeah.
don't have to be a complete split personality. There is a convergence of entertainment and computers at this point. So, I mean, obviously, we're doing one right now. There's a convergence of these things. So, yeah, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And now I want to ask you about the last thing you said about how you're doing. How did you describe this? You're working in a lockdown facility, helping people with their psychological mental state through theater. Is that
Well,
what it is?
yes, yes. So for almost 9 years now, I've conducted a drama therapy group at a level 14 lockdown psychiatric facility for teens. And my group is called Acting from the School of Life. Well, that's my concept. That's my educational spin on it. But even when I've coached, and I coach just by referral only, my approach is acting from the school of life, because many times as actors we get a role and we get all into our heads of what's my motivation. I need somebody to help me, and I'm all for coaching,
Yeah.
but the confidence with which we show up every day in life goes out the window once the script is in front of us.
Yes.
And what
Yes.
I desire to do
Uh-huh.
is to help people to tap into their natural gifts and talents and confidence. Right now, if something, um, heaven forbid, traumatic happened to you, you wouldn't have to call a coach to say, I just got some bad news. How am I going to
How am I
react to
going to
that? That
react?
natural
Yeah. Yeah.
it would kick in,
We
right?
know how to be
Right? It's
humans
something.
already.
Yeah, yeah. So what I do with the kids in the mental health facility is, first of all, I am broad, silly, whatever I can do to put them at ease, to help them break the stigma of who they are and what they're dealing with. There's a lot of stigma towards mental health. So I call it acting from the school of life. And when I started, I was encouraged, just stick to the acting, don't try to teach anything, because these kids have multiple disorders and multiple challenges. And that went in one ear and out the other, because I believe everybody that can learn. Since my undergrad is in theater and
Yeah.
communication arts, I know the history of theater, the
Yeah.
history of
Yeah. It's not like you're a
the
hack.
dramatist.
You
Yeah, the
have
history of
that,
the
and you also have
dramatist.
psychological training, and I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
got
So
all
I,
that.
I teach them about I teach them about Euripides and Aristotle and Aeschylus and Sophocles, and how the early dramatists were philosophers, and they started to write as a tool to express what they were feeling in society, in their personal lives. Right? The
Yeah.
origins of conflict in Greek conflict. There's only three types of conflict. We get this from the Greek dramatists. That's God, and man and himself.
Mm.
And that's what my babies know. So we have a lot of fun. And the highest compliment is when they call me crazy. Oh, Miss Larissa, you're so crazy. I'm like, oh, I know you're not talking about people. Okay. And
Yeah.
we do different character voices, and they're looking at me funny. And I'm like, honey, you're not the only one that's got voices. I got voices. You got voices. Okay. We want to get to the voices that don't hurt ourselves or anybody else. Oh yeah. So that's a little bit of what I do there. So
I think that's great, and it really brings full circle what we talked about in the beginning about how you need people that mentor you and to encourage you, and to implant the proper programming in your head, that so you can, when you go out in the world, you don't have programming that says you can't do it. You have programming that says you can do it and then some, whatever you
let
want.
me tell you about one of my kids. My
Yeah.
first year doing the group, I had a student who's a rather large guy for his age, just a gentle giant. And he would say to me, because I would print out materials. The first part is educational, but I really make it fun. But some of the kids can't read very well because these are the kids that get ushered out of the classroom for being disruptive or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So my guy, let's give him a name. Let's say his name was Peter. That's
Okay.
a fake name.
Okay.
So he says, Miss Larita, I'm slow, I can't really read, I'm slow. I said, okay, Peter, hold up. I said, that's what you say. I said, but everybody learns differently. Maybe you can't read the words, but you remember everything that I say.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right, that's right. I taught him about a Roman playwright by the name of Terence. Terence was of Moorish descent, and he was freed by this Roman aristocrat. And he started writing plays like 400 years before Christ. Terence's, one of his quotes, his most famous quotes is, I am a man. I consider nothing that is human alien to me. I took this lesson to Peter and I drove it into him and drove it into him. And so I would say, Peter, what's the word? And he would say, I am a man. I consider nothing that is human alien to me.
I love that.
Every time he said it, his shoulders went back. Every time he said it, his head was held high. And I would wager to say that there are few actors in Hollywood right now that can quote Terence, a Roman playwright, an African slave freed by his Roman master who wrote 400 years before Christ. But if you saw Peter, whose IQ may not be what we call impressive, he could tell you those words.
That's great. I think that there is power in owning words and, making them your own and memorizing them and being able to recite them. I think we learn that as actors just kind of along the way, but it's something that everyone can do. I know like
Yes.
Anthony Hopkins will all of a sudden break out in poetry because he memorizes poetry and recites it. And I think that's something that everyone should do, like you say. Wow, LaRita, I've got to end the interview now. Unfortunately, this has been just a treasure trove of really interesting life. And I just appreciate you blessing our show, being here, telling stories. That's what this show's all about. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Kudos to you and your family and the great work that you are doing in advocacy for women. You are advocating for yourself, being multi-talented and multifaceted. And I just want to pour everything that you've shared with me back into you and your family and everyone that's listening. Please, please, please do not give up on yourself. If Hollywood is not accepting you, then you create something for yourself. And for me, there's many days when I wish I was on a multi-million-dollar motion picture set. I may not be there, but I may be in a tiny room with a few young people with mental disorders. And at that point, I feel just as worthy as anyone who would walk the stages of the Kodak Theater or the Oscars or anywhere else. So just bloom where you're planted, never give up, and just share peace and love because we need more of that.
I love that. All right. Thank you. This has been LaRita Shelby on Lunch Therapy. We'll see you soon, LaRita.
Yay. Stay jazzy now.
All right, that's LaRita Shelby. Pretty incredible woman. Yeah, we're so honored to have you on the show. Wow, lovely thoughts. I'm just looking at some of the chats here. Bloom where you're planted. Yes, and Loretta, of course, I'll help you with your iPad, your computer, whatever you need. Let me know. I'm here to serve. Hey, thanks everybody for joining in today. Super fun. LaRita, thanks for being the guest. Tom Silvestri, thanks for connecting us. Yes, thank you, Howard, Loretta, Tina, Charles, Kamala, everybody. This has been super fun. Jack was here. So now we're going to go into a dance break. Dance break is Roman Gostylo. Gostylo, hopefully I pronounced that right. He's from Ukraine. He has a band. Earlier this week, we were doing some Doors. We were into the Doors. We had Howard doing his rendition of Riders on the Storm. We had Chris. Chris was doing his People Are Strange. And, of course, we had Harlan Gleason pontificating about This Is the End. So now we're going to have the dance break all the way from Ukraine. Here we go. Dance them if you got them. This is fun. You'll see they do some fun stuff in here.
Love me 2 times, baby. Love me twice today.
Sounds so much like the original. I'm sure I'll get banned
Love me 2 times, girl.
on YouTube, but it's worth it.
'Cause I'm gone away. Love me 2 times, girl. 1 for tomorrow,
gotta have
1
him
just
on
for today. Love me 2 times, I'm gone away. Love me 1 time, I could not speak. Love me 1 time, babe. Yeah, my knees got weak.
Guy went and got a cup of coffee.
Love me 2 times, girl. Lost me.
Dancing
all
twice.
through the
I can do
week.
that.
Love me
Dance
2
2
times, I'm gone away. Love me 2 times, I'm gone away. Yeah, alright.
You can dance 3 times, but I'll just do 2. It's like me and my little brother. Ukraine.
Love me 1 time, I could not speak. Love me 1 time, baby. Yeah, my knees got weak. Love me 2 times, girl. Lost me all through the week. Love me 2 times, I'm gone away. Love me 2 times, babe. Love me twice today. Love me 2 times, babe. 'Cause I'm gone away. Love me 2 times, girl. 1 for tomorrow, 1 just for today. Love me 2 times, I'm gone away. Love me 2 times, I'm gone away. Love me 2 times, I'm gone away.
Woo! Yeah.